Hello folks, and welcome to Heart and Hand Extra, the second of our 2 free weekly pods from the guys behind Heart and Hand. And 2 of the finest people from behind Heart and Hand are joining me, David Edgar, today. First up, my lovely friend Mr. Alex Staff.
Hi there, David.
And my other lovely friend Mr. Cameron Bell.
Hello boys, how are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Now, obviously on Extra, we cover what we've missed since the last pod, and there was a game this week, and preview the game ahead. So we'll start off Tuesday evening, when Rangers went to Pittodrie to take on Aberdeen. And Alex, I thought we started terrifically. I really did. I mean, genuinely, I enjoyed watching the football in the opening 10 minutes. It was fast, it was incisive, it was one touch, and we were pulling Aberdeen all over the park. Only fashioned the one chance with a lovely move, but still, Aberdeen were having to work really hard just to keep us out, and then it changes.
Yeah, one goal, and as we've seen too often this season, the team kind of panics a little bit. And had that happened in the second half, you know, if it was 0-0 at half time and that had happened in the second half, we'd have lost that game. But luckily we were able to get them in at half time and kind of refocus. Horrendous refereeing decision, obviously. Same referee that shafted us against Motherwell in the semi-final. I think there was a bit of a hangover from that from the players as well when they lost their discipline. First 10 minutes was excellent actually. Really, really nice stuff. Some of the best football we've played all season. Yeah. Just a shame it only lasted 10 minutes.
Exactly, yeah. It was like a glimpse of something, you know, far beyond that offers more promise. But, right, Cammy, Alex, I'm going to come back to in a minute about this, because Alex has generally been probably the least annoyed or handled refereeing this season better than the rest of us. But that's a fucking scandalous decision. You're a refereeing expert. Justify it. Go on. I dare you. And you can't.
No, I can't. And it's not just don't get wrong, the decision for the penalty is bad enough. But we've spoken before in the pod, and it's one of the things since going through my qualifications and stuff, and you look at the game differently. But it's the management of the game. And I'm kind of in two minds as to what was worse, the decision for the penalty or his inability to manage the game. And you saw, I mean, it was card happy was probably the best term that I could use to describe McLean's performance in that at the start of the game. And then I think it wasn't until at least half an hour in the second half he then produced the first card of the second half, because he probably realised, Christ, I'm running out of space in my book here. Really? So many yellows he was producing. His position for the penalty is poor, because typically you want to ideally stand in a corner so you can have the goal kick over your in that scenario it would be over your left shoulder, so you're watching, and to a certain extent you're facing your linesman in that direction, so that basically you've got enough of the 18-yard box covered. Looking at it from different angles, I've seen people, and let's call them Rangers haters, trying to protect the referee's decision because of it looks like McLean's get to the ball first and Morelos gets there second. It's wrong. And had McLean been facing the challenge from the other side, he would have quite clearly have seen Morelos getting there to the ball first.
I didn't get that argument, and you're right, by people who don't like us particularly. Well, they say, yeah, but from various angles it looked like a penalty. Not the fucking one he was at, it didn't. And Alex, Morelos is wearing bright, luminous boots. It's quite clear who gets to the ball first. McLean, another thing I always look for is a player's reaction. McLean is on the way down and he's turning and looking for the referee, because that's all he's doing with that particular passage of play. He's just chucked himself in. And it was a ludicrous... I mean, I keep going back to that word because it's just unjustifiable.
It was, yeah. Kenny McLean was the guy refereeing the game, not Stephen McLean. The various incidents in the game, he fucking suplexed Alfredo Morelos at one point and didn't even get a booking for it. He then cried for a foul that the referee wasn't going to give and got the foul. He had various fouls, never got booked once. There was 10 bookings in the game. Kenny McLean was involved in most incidents and wasn't one of the players booked. He was a guy refereeing the game. It was a throwback to the old days of Willie Miller and Alex McLeish at Aberdeen, yes, when everybody would just accuse Willie Miller of refereeing a game. It was exactly like that. And yeah, I try to be a bit more rational. I don't mean that as a dig at anybody, but I try my best to look at an instant in real time and what my initial reaction is. And replays can sometimes, turn that around. But even in real time, I couldn't understand it. The David Bates booking, ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous decision. There was various, as I say, moments where he just went with the shouts of the Aberdeen players. They consistently surrounded him with every decision that we got. The one or two times that we did that to him, Dorrans gets booked. No, not one of their players get booked for that. And then I think the worst decision in a lot, which actually went in our favour somehow, that tackle by Sean Goss just before half-time that was wild.
Yeah, but it's
that was absolutely wild. Now, he gave that after not giving us
exactly,
a foul.
Yeah. That's a compound mistake. And it's because he should have given a foul in the first place. Doesn't. Goss, you're right, and look unprofessional, completely loses his temper. I think just utterly sickened by every single decision going the wrong way, and absolutely clatters the guy. And it was a definite yellow, and he doesn't give that. That speaks to your point, Cammy, and you're spot on that in the game, which in the first 10 minutes for an Aberdeen Rangers game was reasonably quite calm. First 13 minutes, you may say, especially for one with something riding on it, it was quite, it was football. It was a football match. It wasn't a war. It degenerates for at least the rest of that half because the referee has completely lost control. He's made a terrible decision, and then in the key minutes after it, where he really needs to sit on it, he just completely loses it and makes bad decision on top of bad decision. Clearly irritates the players and doesn't referee even-handedly. I think Alex's point about one reaction when he gets surrounded by Rangers players to another reaction when he's surrounded by Aberdeen players is very telling. And I think that he not only lost control of the game but played a major part in sending it spiralling down the plug hole.
I don't think he sends Goss off because of the penalty, because I think he realises he's fucked up at some point. And I think the Goss tackle was like one of these tackles, and we've seen them in games before, right? And you can tell that it's coming. And what I mean by that is that there's been a couple of niggly challenges, and it's really kind of hit the border of being a foul. Hasn't quite stepped over the line, and play has continued. And another one comes in, and then another one comes in, and then eventually at some point somebody just smashes someone, and then that stops play. And I think Goss's one was a more prolonged example of that, where I think he felt that he should have got it in the first when he first kind of came on. He saw a tackle on another player, which I forget who. I think it might have been Holt, who himself also committed what could have been a red card challenge himself, Jason Holt. But even at that stage, it's getting too wound up, and then it ends with Goss going in and cementing the player. And I think it would have been incredibly hard for us to sit on this pod to justify him not getting a red card for that had one been shown. But again, we're not interested. This is 2018. We're not interested in the fucking 70s type football, the players clattering each other and punching each other. It's not what we're wanting to see. And actually, Scottish football is far, far better than that. And it was actually better than what should have been quite a good game on Tuesday night. It's second v third. There's a lot in the line. I think we did come out to play football with that, and I think that the referees' inability to control the players and to manage the game effectively had too much bearing on it becoming into a bit of a shit show, if I'm honest.
No, I think you're totally right there. Now, we do like to try and be as balanced as we can on here within reasonable partisan limits, but that doesn't excuse for me, as awful as the referee was, it doesn't excuse for me Rangers' utter mental collapse in that last half hour because of the first half, because they completely lost their head, not even in a productive way. It was stupid fouls. It was kicking in front of a referee who is unlikely to give anything your way. And I did understand the frustration. I was in a blind rage for 20 minutes after the penalty because it was such a shocking decision. But they didn't channel their energy positively, Alex, and that's all Aberdeen have. Aberdeen are a long ball, physical, match up everybody else. And hey, it works for them against every team that aren't the Old Firm, so fair play to them in that regard. But that's all they have, and that game suited them down to the ground because it was just niggly. It was very, very much a fractured football match. There wasn't any quality pieces of play, and it suited them far more than it suited us. And we fell into the trap, I thought. And yes, the referee's given them a big hand, but that didn't excuse for me what was then a really foolish performance from the Rangers players, because it was exactly what the opposition wanted them to do.
Yeah, dragged themselves into the sort of match that if they were given the choice before the game, that's how they'd have wanted us to play. Yeah, absolutely. I think you need your experienced players to step up there, and that was what we lacked in the first half. Dorrans had to go off, who I thought started the game really brightly, personally. I was kind of looking to him to kind of settle us down again. That was who I thought was going to be the guy to do that. Russell Martin, I think we all know is struggling regardless. Tavernier, as captain, you would look to him to try and have a word with people, but I think he would maybe kind of lost the head slightly as well, in truth. Those were the guys that you were kind of looking at. Jamie Murphy, to some extent, who got, the first half kind of passed him by. Those were the players you were looking at to try and get a hold of people and say, just calm the fuck down and get back to playing football here. And as I say, it was lucky that, this was the kind of first half this happened and they were able to get the boys back in, and somebody is kind of refocused them, because the second half was obviously a hell of a lot better. But it's rather telling that, and I know we're coming on to it, it's rather telling that the two players, in my opinion, who turned it around are two of the younger guys in the squad, which does make you wonder just what's going on. Is it just an ability thing, or is there something, is a lack of confidence hurting our experienced players more than anybody else? I'd be curious to know what people think on that.
I think that people are going into the match on a bit of a shorter temper because they're frustrated at their own performances, at the way things are going, probably at the stick they've been getting, because nobody likes that, even if it's justified. So I think you're right. I think that they go into the match ready to pop, and then something like that did utterly pop them. And look, we do try to, as I say, be balanced, mainly for that guy. Somebody sent me from a Reddit thing, which is not a platform I use, I must admit, about a guy who apparently doesn't like our show because all we do is complain about referees and try to be funny, which is sort of, yep, that's kind of what we've got. But brilliantly at the bottom of it said he subscribes to the Patreon site, so he pays extra to listen to a podcast he doesn't actually seem to like. But we do try to balance it out, and when we have a go at referees, it's because we feel it's justified. It doesn't, as we say, excuse the performance that we then got for the rest of the half. Now, Cammy, I think Alex is absolutely spot on there when he says the two players that turn it round for us are Ross McCrory with an inspirational performance from midfield, and Jason Cummings, probably more positionally and adding an extra dimension to our play rather than having a scintillating performance. But we were a lot better second half, and again, interest of balance, I've just did a right go at them for that first half. I thought second half there wasn't a lot of quality, and you saw that in the last third repeatedly. However, by sheer grit and determination, they took the game completely away from Aberdeen. I don't think Jack Anick has touched the ball in the second half, and they have, even though they weren't playing well, grafted their way to a point, and they do deserve a bit of credit for that, in my opinion.
They do, but then I would also throw into that mix Morelos as well, who cuts a frustrated figure at times, but he had to do a lot of the physical work, I feel, on Tuesday night. It's difficult to be able to. It's interesting, because if you look at sometimes the mistakes these players make versus what you know that they're capable of producing, you can almost apply that to any position in the park. So I'll give you an example of that. So McCrory in the first half gives away in my opinion, quite a needless corner with a really poor touch, which I'm not really too sure is. I don't know if it gets his foot caught or something happens, but you both know the one I'm talking about, where he kind of takes a touch and it goes out to
that led to the chance corner that led to the ghost penalty. Yeah, I know the one you mean. But 13 minutes.
But then equally at the same point, he's absolutely turned that around with some really good organisational play for the midfield in the second half. I think he was really up for the fight. I mean, his goal shows that. I mean, he just wasn't willing to let that go. If you think about that, and this is probably more for Alex and Adam, and obviously the kind of set-up shows that they do and stuff as well, but McCrory has no right to even be in the box to win the header that he wins for the goal. But he's still there, he's still battling. Morelos exactly the same. Some of the chances and some of the chances that he scuffed in the build up to the goal, there was a great one in the first half actually, where Dorrans plays the ball back through to him and it just opens his body up and all he has to do is have a look at it, and it just wasn't a good take at all. He had another one in the second half, but his shot is the one that leads to the ball going up there for the McCrory header. Players who I think are doing a lot of that. I'm not sold on Jason Cummings at the moment. I don't think it's his fault. I think that he played really well on Tuesday in parts, but then I would apply that to the team. I think he needs a partner. I think that he can't hold the ball up or play a lone striker role anywhere near as good as Morelos can. I know that you had said in previous pods, Davey, about you quite like this idea of him kind of coming in from the flank. I would probably agree with some of that. But again, like you say, his courage and the fact that he was up for the fight, I think probably showed a lot of that drive and determination that we saw.
Alex, I wonder if mentality is something that you either have or you don't. I really do. I wonder, because you hit the nail on the head there. It was two young guys, and that's the way Ross McCrory and Jason Cummings play. It's got nothing to do with circumstance, really. They both, with the exception of McCrory's disastrous Old Firm game in the semi-final, he'll learn from that. Hopefully, at his age, he seems to have it. But he's responded in the right way. He wasn't fit then. I think it was apparent, and I wonder if it's nature versus nurture. Can you install that mentality? I'm sure players, if they're surrounded by other guys who have it, can rise to the challenge occasionally. But in terms of the guys who can just deliver it, maybe you either have it or you don't.
I think there's something in that, yeah. People who... I've debated this with people actually, because obviously, having studied some of the psychology stuff in the past, there's a belief that sports psychologists can come in and instill this in people. I don't believe that's the case at all. They can get it out of people who have maybe lost it a bit. If you think about individual sportsmen who've maybe lost that bit of confidence in themselves and they go away and suddenly they're able to find it, they can, make a team a bit more of a unit and stuff like that. But you're right, I think mentality is the hardest thing to sign, it's the hardest thing to find, and it's nigh on impossible to teach, really. One of the best at Rangers in recent years, if you think about what was it now, 11 years ago Le Guin came in, something like that, wasn't it?
12. One of the first decisions he makes is to drop Nacho Novo. Novo's playing in the reserves, and it looks like he's got no chance of coming back in. Within a couple of months, he's starting games for Le Guin in Europe and one of our main players, and he kicked on from there. And that was all mentality. He had every chance and potentially even a justification to take the huff, move on. I believe he knocked back a move actually. Yep. At
the time. He could have just chucked it, phoned it in, taken his wages, done whatever he liked, but he was absolutely determined to get himself back into that team because he had that sort of mentality, and he done exactly that. Some of the players don't seem to have that. If it's not working out for them, they tend to just take the easy option, or that's how it feels anyway.
No.
Whereas if you look at somebody like a Ross McCrory, I think it's pretty obvious at the moment he's one player who's absolutely up for any sort of fight you throw at him. Jason Cummings believes he should be playing football he should be starting every game in his mind, and when he gets a chance, and he was put on Tuesday night out of position, wide left, another frustration I'm sure for him, but he came in, he worked hard, individual quality wise, there was moments that weren't great for him, but he worked hard, and doing that he contributed to a much better team performance. Morelos, people talk about, he takes a huff, he comes out of games because of it. I don't agree with that. Yeah, he can be huffy and such like, but he works his balls off in every game. And I thought personally he was man of the match on Tuesday. So, these are the guys young guys who have no real right. They've not got the experience. They've not got a huge pedigree behind them to be the guys that are somehow dragging this Rangers team up in performance at the moment. And that's, quite telling to their mentality and their ability as well.
The add-on I would put into that, David, just before we can move on, is I'm absolutely certain I'm not the only Rangers fan who's asking where that mentality was against Celtic in the last 2 games we've played them.
It's not there at all. They don't have it. They are shite scared of Celtic. That's back to my point from the other week, Cammy, that I think that you have to ditch quite a lot of them because there's too much scar tissue against Celtic for them, and I don't think they're repairable. Going back to Alex's point about a sports psychologist, I think there's just too much damage done now, and that psychologically, in much the way as it was for us Celtic against Tommy Burns' Celtic, there's just too much psychological baggage there. I don't believe that a number of those players will ever be able to turn it on against Celtic because they don't believe they can.
No, and listen, I get that, and I think that, we've seen evidence of it, but to come back to the kind of point that we're driving home and we're saying, well, your challenge when you go a goal down and then you go a bit fucking stroppy, and you said, well, do you know what, I'm not having this. Well, they had fucking plenty of chances to do that against Celtic and not a single one of them came out to do it. So I think that mentality could actually be a very, very useful tool if it's channeled in the right way. I think against Aberdeen it wasn't. I think it was completely non-existent in either the league or semi-final games against Celtic. So I think to a certain extent these players need to probably think about, if that is going to be a tool in our arsenal, how do we utilise it more often and better, because we need to be able to try and turn some of that on so it works for us when it absolutely has to. And some of the most successful Rangers teams in the past have been able to use that in the right way, where we won't allow teams to come and press us off the ball, we won't lose physical battles, we just can't go over the top, which I think we saw a bit of in Aberdeen on Tuesday.
Alex, Morelos, to come back to him just before we move off this game, he drives me nuts sometimes, so I do get what people are saying about him, because he does drive me nuts with the erratic finishing. I can't help it. When I see a striker miss a chance that could have led to an important goal, it does drive me nuts. But I can see that he works incredibly hard. His physical play is excellent. The other night, as you say, he was involved and he just kept going, and certain other players didn't, but he did. And it doesn't help that he does walk about with a face like a slapped arse at times, and that annoys me, but I think that that's just his face. But I think watching it the other night, it made me wonder if perhaps it's now a question of your individual striking taste when it comes to forwards. And there are some who like the battling all-round centre half, maybe not the most prolific, but works his nuts off, always contributes, sets up chances for others, etc., etc. And then there are others who just like their strikers who score goals. They like a guy who puts the ball in the net. They're not too bothered if it means that 88 out of 90 minutes they're not doing anything if for 2 minutes they're scoring or testing the keeper. And some the best strikers are both, obviously, but way out of our price range, and some strikers fit into either category. And I wonder now if it's just a case that some people who prefer their strikers to be deadly finishers above anything else just think, nah, he's not for me because he's not that, whereas there's others who won't hear a word against him because he's very much in mould number one. He's very much a guy who you can play up front, as we did the other night against 4 guys, and he'll battle away and never give up. So I wonder how much of it is due to Morelos' form, Morelos the individual, or just personal preference when it comes to what type of player you like.
Yeah, personal preference is definitely a big part of it. I'm very aware of that myself. I tend to judge strikers not on goals scored, but on their contribution when they're not scoring goals. As a team still functioning well, are they still a major part of the play when they're not scoring goals? And I believe Morelos is very good at that.
You must have fucking hated Boyd.
Yes, I did. I did not like Chris Boyd overall, and I think it's rather telling that someone with his goal record struggled to get games in bigger matches. Jesus, there was a game where Philip Sewell got picked ahead of him against Celtic, going to Parkhead, because Walter Smith had zero faith in Chris Boyd's ability to be part of the team if he wasn't scoring goals. That's if you're getting dropped for Sibo, Bob Buckgreat, that's a guy who literally couldn't score. That's a pretty worrying sign. But I wasn't a big fan of Boydie for that, and I do appreciate his goals, and I do appreciate that. That's just my view of a striker as compared to others. I absolutely get that. For me, I think where we can be somewhat, or what we're still adjusting to as Rangers fans, in my opinion, and this applies to quite a few players, is that our better players at the moment are now works in progress rather than finished articles. Morelos is definitely one of our better players. We're a weaker team when he doesn't play, but he's not a finished article. He's still a work in progress, and what I see from him suggests to me that this guy's going to go on and have a very good career, because managers now like strikers who, okay, he's not going to score every game, but he's going to contribute every game. He's going to do something. There's no defender in that league can bully Morelos. But if you watch Jason Cummings, for example, in the last game against Celtic, Boyata slapped him about. I mean, it was like going in against an under 12 player and just winning the ball off him and such. Like, Morelos never allows any defender an easy game. Never happens. So, I quite like those attributes in a forward, and I'll take goals not quite as a bonus, but I look at goals overall, and as a team we've scored a lot of them this season, a lot more than we did last season. He's been a big part of that, and that's great to me. But I do understand, you're right. I think there is just, for some people, it's all about the chances that a striker misses. I'm not saying that's the wrong thing to do. It's just not what I look at personally, which is probably why I fall more on the defending Morelos side. Cammy, I'm not sure about yourself actually. Are you more of a kind of strikers equals goals type guy?
He's a Kyle Lafferty type strikers guy. That's Cammy's default setting on strikers, what they should be.
Yep, can score goals, can create space. I think your problem
can lead
lead
the district in 10 German bombers. That's what Cammy wants from a striker.
Correct, absolutely correct. I think your issue though is that when you talk about, I think that if you put Morelos and Cummings together, you would potentially make a Chris Boyd type striker. And what I mean by that is someone who can work a bit of space, won't allow defenders to bully him, but a chance falls to him within 6 yards and you just know it's a finish. And that, for me, is probably where Morelos' biggest problem is. I think he gets frustrated, not necessarily because he's not scoring goals, it's because he's not finishing chances, which I know, which he believes that he should be finishing, which should be relatively bread and butter. I don't know if the 3-2 Celtic game, that miss still haunts him, but that wasn't his only miss of the season, which has been so easy to convert. Guys like Chris Boyd finish them without a second thought. I mean, there is no dubiety about it whatsoever.
Still does.
Kenny Miller, on the other hand, will run 10 kilometres a game, but I'm still not convinced that he can convert easy chances. I think your problem is though that strikers, by and large, the best strikers are greedy. They want goals. They want to be held to that standard. And with the best will in the world, if you are getting the shit knocked out of you because you are up against 4 defenders, then you want something to look back on to say, well, yeah, I might have set up a goal, but actually I scored, 2, or I've got my name in lights somewhere. That's what a lot of strikers will feed off. So it's really difficult to be able to say Morelos would feel satisfied about just creating space for other people to come in to score.
Now, I think I know the answer to this already before I ask you both, but I'm going to do it anyway because I think it'll be quite entertaining to listen to the fallout from it. The other night, Wednesday night, Hearts played Hibs and Hibs lost by 2-1, which meant that they can't finish any higher than 4th, which led to an epic Neil Lennon meltdown, didn't it? I mean, a classic Neil Lennon. First of all, he walked off taunting the Hearts fans about an achievement of another team, which they haven't even achieved, and who aren't their direct rivals. So, then he goes into a press conference and threatens to quit. It was fun. I don't know about you guys, but I thought it was fucking hilarious.
He's always good entertainment when his team loses, let's be honest.
It's magic. It was so much fun. But the star man in the game, which I watched, and I'll have to concede this before Cammy, I hope you've got your lotion and your Andrex ready. I'll have to concede was Kyle Lafferty, who was terrific, and he did all the things that Cammy listed there. Worked his nuts off, intelligent use of the ball, his game sense was exceptional in terms of the amount of times he got Hearts out of trouble or got them 60 yards out of the field. He just had another superb game and another great goal. Would you, and we'll start with Alex, would you be interested in seeing him return to Ibrox this summer?
No.
That's definitive. Cameron, again, I think I might know the answer to this. How would you feel about Kyle Lafferty pitching up at Ibrox this summer?
I don't. So, I think I would take Lafferty back only in certain conditions.
You would take Lafferty back if you had to give him a fucking backie from Edinburgh?
No, David. Let's be sensible and pragmatic about this. I would take Lafferty back only in the proviso that we build the entire team around him and rename the Copeland after him. Listen, it's not headline news. Kyle Lafferty loves the end of the season. All right, he does. This is his absolute. He always comes good towards the tail end of the season. So no, I don't want him back at Ibrox. All joking aside, let's be totally serious. If he was to come back as a squad player and do the stupid Stephen Naismith offer of, I'll come back for free because someone else will be paying my wages. Why not? Of course I'd take a punt on him. But no, I wouldn't bring him back. He is always and always will be too erratic throughout the course of a season. He just finishes well. That's what he does. He just finishes the season well and closes out. It's why he's won so many leagues for Rangers single-handedly, I might add. But he always does it. And I think what's great about him, because no one can question where his allegiances lie. He absolutely loves winding up Celtic. He loves winding up Neil Lennon. I can absolutely guarantee you that Lennon was probably thinking to himself on Tuesday night before the game, Jesus, I hope Lafferty doesn't score against us tomorrow. And the only thing that would make that worse would be that bastard Naismith scoring against us tomorrow. And look what happened.
Somebody said to me, is that him forgiven? Does it fuck?
Well, the best thing about, listen, Alex is totally right. We love, see Lennon in full-on ranty mode after he's just been pumped. Everyone loves that Neil Lennon, because I think he ranged yesterday from taunting the Hearts fans about being 40 points in front of them. By the way, Neil, just because I know you'll probably listen to this, see when you close your fingers and do that, it is like 10, 5, 15, whatever. 10 points, just hold your fingers up. He talked about his players' footwear. And then I think he tried to resign from his own job.
He did, yeah.
So, yeah, I think Neil just needs to calm down his reactions a little bit. But I think we all know the danger he gets into when he gets a wee bit high up and says things that he shouldn't. Let's put it like that.
I wonder if he wakes up the next morning, much as I used to do after a bender, and I used to my ex-wife. I used to reach round for her hand in the bed and squeeze it, and if she squeezed it back, I'd been all right. And if she hit it and went, get to fucked, I was like, oh no, what have I done? And I wonder if Lennon woke up and went, I'm quitting? Fuck. But not our concern. Now, it does mean that this Sunday, when we travel to Festa Road for this match, that they can't overtake us. But I suspect, Alex, that's not going to make them any less likely to go out and give it everything they've got.
We should be absolutely clear here. They could overtake us if they beat us by 6 goals.
I'm hoping even we can't banter near that.
Yes, I am in complete agreement.
If Hibs beat us by 6 goals on Sunday, I'm giving up show business.
I can't see it either, guys, and I can see us losing to Hibs. In an away game where they've had their number all season, and the one game that we won against them, we certainly carried a bit of luck that night. So, I can certainly see us losing, but we're not going to lose the game by 6 goals. I think that's pretty clear. Hell, Jesus, if we thought there was even a chance at it, we'd just get a few players sent off and get the game abandoned.
Take the
3-0 defeat. No. So yes, it's became a largely meaningless game. They're going to come out and have a real go because, you know, they owe it to. They would have done it anyway, but they owe it to their fans to try and make a fist at winning by 6. I'm hopeful that we're missing a couple. I mean, we're missing Morelos and McCrory. We've just spoken about how vital they were against Aberdeen. But I'm kind of hopeful we make a nice bit of a battle of it, get a positive result, finish the season on some sort of positive note, because I think you guys join me in just wanting this one over and done with, and let's get Stevie G in the door.
Right, absolutely. That's what happens when a new manager offers the promise of a brighter future, and especially before they really start work is the time that you get to project onto them your hopes and your dreams. And given the glamorous nature of the incoming team and how excited that's got us, then that is magnified during this period. So yeah, these games do seem to be a bit of a kind of, I'll just get them out of the way. I must admit, I know this sounds really odd, but third I don't like, but fourth terrified me, and obviously I want second, but there is still that Rangers thing in me, Cammy, that says if we're no first, second or third, I don't really care. I know I'm supposed to care about second or third, I know that, and I suppose I kind of do. And Hoggy, I can hear him in my ear going, means we get 2 extra weeks off, and he's right, and I get that. But fourth would have been appalling, especially because it lets Lennon finish above us. But I still want us to win because, and I know that you and I disagree on this, I still don't think that Aberdeen will beat Celtic. So even allowing for that Celtic might find it funny, I still think that they'll get the win. And that means if we get 3 points, we'll do it. Against that, Alex just nailed what I see as being a massive problem. Morelos and McCrory missing. I'm a bit concerned.
So listen, I understand that. I will continue to state that I do believe Aberdeen will beat Celtic on Sunday. I think Rodgers already has his cup final team sorted out, so there isn't really any positions to play for. What's interesting, though, from what both of you have said, is how does Lennon motivate his players for it? Because if there was still... So let's remove the 6-0 thing for a start, right? Sorry, no one at Hibs thinks that they're going to beat us 6-0. But given how much he's just thrown them under the bus, and it's not the first time he's done it, but how much he's just thrown them under the bus, because he came out quite vehemently against his defenders for the goals that they conceded on Wednesday night as well, and the manner of which they conceded them. I don't know as to how he motivates them, because he can't move league position now, right? They won't, right? Because they won't obviously score that many against us that they could potentially move. I don't know as to how he gets them turned around, because if I was... There must be Hibs players in that dressing room who are looking at it going, what a fucking crackpot. He's actually... You can say all these things behind closed doors, and you can say it in the sanctuary of the dressing room and what have you, but you can't commit to these things in public. You just can't do it, and that's the whole Neil Lennon circus, right? Our biggest problem, as you say, Davey, is who do we select, and how do we focus on that? Forget about Hibs. Forget what they could do to us and all the rest of it. I think we just have to treat this game as what everyone wants, which is the final 90 minutes of our season. Get this done. I don't know if there is a Stevie G effect yet, because I think even if a manager hadn't been announced, I still think that the departure of Murty has probably cleared a lot of the toxicity that was in some of the dressing room. But I do think we need to think about selection purposes. I don't know if that means Cummins up top and maybe Docherty behind him, something of that nature. I don't know if Windass is going to be available for Sunday. I haven't really heard too much on that, if I'm honest. I think all we can do is set up the team as best we possibly can, go there. If we can fight against Aberdeen, we can fight against Hibs. That's my mentality, and I think that's what Nicol has to say to them. And go, look, they've nothing to play for. The dates for Europe aside, and Hoggy has mentioned it a lot, and I totally understand that he's making a great point when he says it. There's also, I think, something like a £500,000 difference between finishing second and third. All that stuff. Just go out and just finish it. I don't want it to be the case that I see in BBC reports and in other mainstream media reports that Steven Gerrard has to come in and get the team moved from last season's finishing position of third. I would like to say that it's second, and there's one spot above us that we have to attain. That's it. There's no more talk about finishing in the top two or any of that shit.
Alex, team-wise, what would you do? What do you think we'll do, but what would you do?
Firstly, and I'd like to point out, guys, that this was a comment made by Mr. Cameron Bell, who quite convincingly told me that there was more chance of Andre Iniesta playing for us again than Jordan Rossiter. So I'm looking forward to Iniesta's debut Sunday next to Rossiter, as Rossiter comes in to replace McCrory. I would imagine that Rossiter will come in. I would personally go Rossiter. I want Docherty in the team as well. I don't know why he seems to have fallen out of favour, but I'm not sure if that's going to be the case. Dorrans is going to be injured. I severely doubt Windass is going to make it. It does mean having to play Cummings up front, unless we throw in Eduardo Herrera for one final swan song. His win-loss record when he plays isn't too bad, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, I think that'll be the team. I think you'll see something pretty similar to what we played, which does mean Russell Martin. I apologise to everybody for saying that. But I think Rossiter will replace McCrory. Cummings will be up front. I would hope that Docherty comes in Dorrans' place, but I wouldn't be surprised if, like midweek, it's Goss who come off the bench for him. And Cammy's right, it'll be a bit of a battle, but we just showed a bit of a battle against Aberdeen there. So let's just bring it to Hibs as well. There's no reason we can't. They will. It's not the first time Lennon's threw them under the bus, so I think they will be up for it. He seems to get away with it with this group of players. They've not really taken the huff off him at all. It was guys like Stokes who did, and he got rid of him. So, that's not happened. So I think they'll still be up for it. But if we show the same mentality they do, look, if you're getting into a game and all you need to avoid is a 6-0 defeat, it's a bit of a strange game, isn't it?
That worries me, if I'm being honest. Not that I think it'll be 6-0, but just I wonder how they'll approach it, because that does make me think that they might go, the job's done, really knock off. But it's how much do they want to finish second, because it gives them, look, we all know that quite a few of them, not all of them, despite what some people might hope for, quite a few of them are going, and I'm sure they know that in their heart of hearts as well, that they're going. And it's whether or not they want to finish up and be able to point to a second place finish, which would be an improvement on last season. Okay, not that it makes this season a good one, but you would be able to in future go, well, we finished third and then second the year I was there, that kind of thing, if that motivates them, or if instead they are just, I'm out of here soon, I need to get this game out of the way.
I think so. Personally speaking, I wouldn't risk Rossiter. Alex is right. I did say that. I'm still not sold that Jordan Rossiter will make a consistent impact at Rangers. I'm more than happy to be proven wrong in that. I wouldn't risk him against them at Easter Road, because I don't trust Hibs not to come in and start hammer throwing. I think that we've got more options available than that. I'm not saying that Rossiter couldn't play some sort of part, so potentially we could give him half an hour at the end or whatever once we've seen how the game has panned out. I think we just need to go and then see what happens there. I hate to sound so pessimistic, but I'm still of the belief that even if we beat Hibs, I still think Celtic will lose to Aberdeen. But again, I would rather that it was in our control and we finish the season well. If Nicol approaches it in a way of, you've got to think about what the new manager wants, how you can play a part in that, if you're going to have a future here, etc. That's what they then have to think about, because there will be boys within that squad who will go, but we're going to keep more than we're going to lose. And I think a lot of those players will start on Sunday, so they need to think about how they approach that.
Wee word for Jimmy Nicol and Jonathan Johansson, Alex, because I think it's pretty apparent that they're going. I think they know that they're going, and they're turning up, they're doing their best, and from a bleak situation at half-time the other night, they did get a reaction.
Yeah, and I think it's worth pointing out many Rangers fans that I know, if they get back to their reaction, and I understand it's an emotional one, if they get back to their reaction after the last game against Celtic, they firmly believe we'd be lucky to take a point in these last 3 games. So we're on 4 now. Chance, to finish with 7 points out of 9 and 3 difficult last 3 matches, that they've been in charge of, with all the changes, with everything that's going on off the field with Gerrard, off the field with some of our players, Murty away, etc., etc. If they finish with taking 7 points out of 9 out of those 3 games, it's a pretty decent return. Jimmy Nicholl has been making a big deal about the fact that Gerrard's going to be watching this. I believe his phrase was he'll be looking to pick out the weeds from the flowers. Somehow being a flower's better. I don't know why, but there you go. But yeah, he's really trying to impress upon this squad that, look, it's not me you're playing for now. It's yourselves, your future, and the next manager who's coming in before you know it. So he seems to have got something from them, as you said. I suppose even the reaction of going 1-0 down and starting to boot people has been more of a reaction than we've had most of the season, isn't it?
It is,
mean, it's almost like, yeah, we knew we were losing those games against Celtic where the game started. We could see it a mile away. After 5 minutes, we're all looking at each other thinking, fuck. But if we just went out and booted them, I think people would have been a wee bit happier with that.
Yep.
So yeah, Jimmy Nicholl's obviously getting something from them. I think Johansson plays a big part. For example, I'm convinced. Well, Nicholl's confirmed that it was his decision to play McCrory in midfield. That it was Johansson who'd done that for him. But I'm also convinced Johansson's been the one that said play Cummings wide left so we can move Murphy inside. Given it was the other way around in the game before. So yeah, they've made a bit of a difference. A bit of a shame. I would have liked to. I think Jimmy Nicholl. I'm not surprised he can move on and he can go and get an assistant manager's role somewhere else. I would have kind of liked to have kept Johansson about. He's worked with the youths as well a little bit. I think it's a bit of a shame if they both just go, but
it's a bit surprising.
Yeah,
it's a bit surprising because they were very keen on retaining Jonathan Johansson when they were talking about it, and certainly if McInnes was coming, he was staying, and that was a club imposed condition, and they really have high hopes for him. And yeah, I think he wouldn't necessarily have to go into the inner circle. He could go with the youth team and maybe work indirectly or with the manager for a bit to see if they get on and if he rates them. But yeah, who knows? It could just be a case of now we just want a completely new blank canvas to work off. Okay, it's prediction time then, guys. Cameron?
I'm going to say 4-0 Rangers.
Brave.
Extremely brave. 1 each for me.
I'm going to go 1 each, and I think 1 each with a frenetic start from Hibs settling down, and then maybe just you find that they end up playing out the last kind of 10-15 minutes. And I also think a point will be enough, incidentally, for second. So time will tell. I've been wrong plenty of times before. Now, that is it for this week's Heart and Hand Extra, and that is actually it for the debut season of Heart and Hand Extra. So I hope you've enjoyed this at the start of the year. It seems a long time ago now, but that was when we first went to 2 shows per week and introduced the preview show. But obviously, with no games to cover, there's no need to preview them. We will be back next season on Heart and Hand Extra. There are still a couple more Heart and Hands regular season Heart and Hands to come, but this will be the last Heart and Hand Extra before we head. Just time to say though that if you do want to hear more from us, you just need to go to our Patreon site. That's patreon.com/Heart and Hand, and up will pop usually 3, sometimes 4, and occasionally even 5 Rangers shows per day. You need never listen to Radio Clyde again. We've got you covered. Thanks to our executive producers in London, Mr. Mike Lee and Mr. Paul Miles. To my 2 guests this evening, the wonderful Mr. Cameron and James Bell.
Thank you, boys. Thank you.
The beautiful Mr. Alex Staff.
Thank you, gentlemen.
My name's David Edgar, and I will talk to you all again on Monday. Till then, take care. Bye.